Franklin Delano Roosevelt was born on January 30th, 1882, in the quiet and scenic estate of Hyde Park, New York. The youngest of 5 children, he grew up surrounded by rolling hills, lush gardens, and the gentle flow of the Hudson River. From an early age, young Franklin, age 0 to 10, showed curiosity, intelligence, and a spark of determination. Snow-covered mornings and warm, candlelit evenings shaped his daily life as he explored his family's estate, observed nature, and learned the lessons of responsibility and empathy through private tutoring. These formative years nurtured both his intellect and character. Even as a child, Franklin Delano Roosevelt displayed charm, focus, and resilience, traits that hinted at the extraordinary leader he would become. Every detail of his early life, from the architecture of his home to the winter air of New York, contributed to the man who would one day guide a nation through unprecedented challenges. As Franklin Delano Roosevelt grew into adolescence, ages 10 to 15, the young boy of Hyde Park displayed remarkable intellect and curiosity. He attended private lessons and local schools, studying history, languages, and literature with focus and determination. Winter mornings brought crisp air across the rolling hills, while summer days found him exploring gardens and woodlands, observing nature and learning responsibility. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, now a thoughtful preteen, developed charm, empathy, and resilience, forming the foundation of his character. Friends and tutors alike noted his quick wit, gentle humor, and disciplined mind. Every experience, from writing letters to reading by candlelight, shaped his understanding of leadership and duty. These formative adolescent years prepared Franklin Delano Roosevelt for the challenges of young adulthood and the remarkable life he would lead. As Franklin Delano Roosevelt entered his late teens, ages 15 to 18, he prepared for Harvard and the challenges ahead. The young man, thoughtful and determined, spent summers exploring Hyde Park, observing nature, and refining his manners. Winters brought crisp mornings and snow-laden gardens where he practiced discipline and focus. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, age 16, displayed charm, wit, and a growing understanding of leadership. Tutors noted his dedication to study, particularly history and literature, while friends admired his humor and intelligence. These years solidified his character, nurturing resilience, empathy, and vision. By the time he approached Harvard, Franklin Delano Roosevelt had become a poised, confident, and disciplined young man, ready to embrace the responsibilities of adulthood and the challenges of shaping his future legacy. Franklin Delano Roosevelt arrived at Harvard College in Cambridge, Massachusetts, stepping into a campus alive with learning and opportunity. The red brick buildings and cobblestone paths, surrounded by sprawling gardens and courtyards, offered both challenge and inspiration. Winter mornings brought crisp air and snow-covered grounds, while summers filled the libraries and lawns with warm sunlight. He immersed himself in history, literature, and political studies, engaging in debates, student societies, and discussions with tutors and classmates. Even amidst the lively energy of college life, Franklin Delano Roosevelt remained reflective and disciplined, observing the world around him with quiet confidence. From studying in sunlit libraries to strolling along pathways and fountains, each moment nurtured his intellect, charm, and sense of responsibility. These formative Harvard years strengthened his understanding of leadership and prepared him to embrace the public life that awaited. At 21, Franklin Delano Roosevelt continued to thrive at Harvard, immersing himself in rigorous study and vibrant campus life. Spring sunlight filled the red brick courtyards as he walked thoughtfully between lectures, observing fellow students and the rhythm of daily life. In the library, he absorbed history and political theory, debating ideas with classmates and tutors. The crisp air of early spring mornings carried the scent of flowering gardens and fresh grass, while afternoons found him reading by fountains or strolling along shaded pathways. Franklin Delano Roosevelt displayed remarkable discipline, wit, and charm, balancing study with social engagement. Every debate, every book, and every conversation nurtured his understanding of leadership, empathy, and responsibility. These formative years at Harvard honed the qualities that would prepare Franklin Delano Roosevelt for public life and the remarkable path that awaited him beyond college gates. During his final years at Harvard, Franklin Delano Roosevelt devoted himself to the study of government, history, and law, preparing for a future in public service. The campus buzzed with activity as students debated ideas in lecture halls and strolled through sunlit courtyards. Winter mornings brought frost-covered grounds, while spring filled the gardens with flowers and crisp air. Hours spent in the library, reading historical texts and discussing political philosophy with tutors and peers, sharpened his intellect. Franklin Delano Roosevelt developed a keen understanding of leadership, diplomacy, and responsibility. Social events and gatherings revealed his charm, wit, and empathy, forging connections that would later shape his career. Each lecture, debate, and reflective walk nurtured his poise and insight, shaping the young man who would go on to guide a nation through its most challenging times. After graduating from Harvard, Franklin Delano Roosevelt embarked on travels along the eastern United States and Europe, broadening his horizons and understanding of international affairs. In bustling cities and serene countrysides, he observed governance, culture, and society, sharpening his political insight. Crisp autumn air in New York and the warm sunlight along European avenues shaped reflective moments, while evenings found him journaling and reviewing notes from his studies. Franklin Delano Roosevelt displayed charm and empathy in social settings, engaging with locals and fellow travelers alike. Each conversation, lecture, and observation honed his intellect, diplomacy, and awareness of public service. These journeys reinforced his sense of responsibility and leadership, preparing him for entry into American political life. Through exploration and reflection, Franklin Delano Roosevelt developed the poise and vision that would guide his future as a statesman. Upon returning to the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt entered New York's vibrant social and political circles, determined to begin a life of public service. He observed state and national governance, attended meetings, and engaged with influential figures, absorbing knowledge and forming connections. The crisp autumn air and busy streets of New York mirrored his energetic pursuit of opportunity, while evenings found him reflecting in quiet study or writing notes on political strategies. Franklin Delano Roosevelt displayed intelligence, charm, and a growing understanding of diplomacy and leadership. Each interaction, conversation, and observation shaped his approach to public life. These early experiences cultivated the poise, confidence, and sense of responsibility that would define him as a statesman, preparing Franklin Delano Roosevelt to embark on a political career that would eventually leave an indelible mark on the nation. At 25, Franklin Delano Roosevelt launched his first political campaign in New York, stepping into the world of public service with determination and purpose. He traveled through bustling towns and quiet villages, shaking hands, listening to citizens, and speaking passionately about social welfare and reform. Crisp spring mornings and warm afternoon light accompanied his tireless efforts, while evenings were spent reviewing speeches and strategizing with campaign aides. Franklin Delano Roosevelt displayed natural charm, intelligence, and empathy, engaging with people from all walks of life. Each encounter, debate, and speech strengthened his understanding of governance, leadership, and public responsibility. Through these early victories and challenges, Franklin Delano Roosevelt cultivated the poise, vision, and resilience that would define his political career and guide him toward the national stage. At 28, Franklin Delano Roosevelt entered the New York State Senate, stepping into a demanding world of reform, negotiation, and political maneuvering. Arriving in Albany during the cold winter months, he spent long days studying legislative proposals, attending hearings, and meeting reform-minded colleagues. The frost-covered streets and echoing marble halls reflected the seriousness of his new responsibilities. Franklin Delano Roosevelt pushed for transparency and challenged entrenched interests, earning both admiration and resistance. Evenings were devoted to reviewing documents, drafting speeches, and planning strategies that aligned with his growing commitment to public welfare. Through long debates, private discussions, and careful observation, he strengthened his understanding of governance and leadership. These early legislative battles forged the resilience, confidence, and vision that would guide Franklin Delano Roosevelt throughout his political career and prepare him for the national stage. Franklin Delano Roosevelt moved from state politics to national service when he accepted the post of Assistant Secretary of the Navy in 1913. In Washington, he confronted the demands of a modernizing fleet, logistics, and diplomatic pressures as war simmered in Europe. He toured shipyards and ports, inspected training drills, and coordinated procurement, learning the complex machinery of national defense. Cold mornings in naval yards gave way to hot, oily afternoons among riveters and engineers, where he listened, learned, and organized with methodical focus. His work refined an administrative skill set, managing men, machinery, and supply, that would later prove essential. He balanced public duty with private reflection, building relationships across the Navy and government. These years in federal service deepened Franklin Delano Roosevelt's understanding of leadership, logistics, and international responsibility, preparing him for the challenges that lay ahead. By 1917, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, age 35, oversaw the United States Navy's expansion as America entered World War I. He coordinated shipbuilding programs, managed logistics, and inspected training exercises along the coasts. Cold winter mornings found him at busy naval yards, while hot summer days were spent among riveters, engineers, and sailors preparing for overseas deployment. Roosevelt's attention to detail, calm decisiveness, and ability to balance strategy with human understanding earned him respect among both officers and workers. Every inspection, meeting, and planning session deepened his understanding of leadership, large-scale coordination, and the demands of global conflict. These years solidified Franklin Delano Roosevelt's administrative expertise and foresight, preparing him for future challenges as a national and international leader. After World War I, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, age 37, returned to civilian life with a growing reputation as a skilled administrator and strategic thinker. He traveled across the country and abroad, observing social changes, economic challenges, and international diplomacy in the post-war era. Crisp autumn mornings found him in Washington and New York, studying reports, meeting diplomats, and attending policy discussions. Roosevelt reflected on the lessons of wartime leadership, understanding the importance of coordination, foresight, and empathy. These years shaped his political philosophy, strengthened his relationships, and prepared him for higher national office. Franklin Delano Roosevelt's experiences in the post-war period deepened his vision of public service and responsibility, laying the foundation for his future role as a transformative leader. In 1920, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, age 38, accepted the nomination as the Democratic candidate for vice president, joining forces with presidential nominee James M. Cox. Campaigning across the nation, he traveled by train through cities and towns, speaking to crowds eager for post-war progress. Crisp autumn mornings and bright afternoon skies marked rallies and speeches where Roosevelt's charm, eloquence, and political insight drew attention. Despite tireless effort, the Democratic ticket was defeated, and Roosevelt faced the disappointment of national loss. Yet the campaign strengthened his understanding of electoral politics, honed his public speaking, and expanded his network. Franklin Delano Roosevelt's resilience in the face of setback laid the groundwork for his future political successes, shaping his determination to lead the nation one day. In 1921, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, age 39, faced a life-altering challenge when he contracted polio, leaving him partially paralyzed from the waist down. The diagnosis arrived on a hot summer day, transforming his routine and ambitions. Confined to his New York home, he adapted to a new reality with determination, using therapeutic exercises and hydrotherapy to rebuild strength. Evenings were filled with reflection and planning as he considered how to continue serving the public despite physical limitations. Roosevelt's resilience and relentless focus forged a stronger inner resolve, deepening his empathy and understanding of human struggle. These years of personal hardship refined Franklin Delano Roosevelt's character, shaping a leader who would inspire millions through courage, perseverance, and unwavering commitment to public service. From 1925 onward, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, age 43, committed himself to rehabilitation at Warm Springs, Georgia, transforming personal struggle into purpose. In the soothing thermal waters, he rebuilt his strength while observing the resilience of others facing physical challenges. Crisp mornings and humid afternoons were filled with exercises, swimming, and reflection, fostering both mental and physical fortitude. Roosevelt developed optimism, empathy, and a deeper understanding of human determination. He also strengthened political connections, meeting local leaders and influential visitors. These years of rebuilding forged a renewed sense of purpose and vision. Franklin Delano Roosevelt emerged more resilient, disciplined, and determined, ready to pursue political leadership with renewed vigor and compassion. In 1929, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, age 47, was elected governor of New York, stepping into leadership during the onset of the Great Depression. Cold autumn mornings and brisk winter days found him touring cities, factories, and rural communities to understand the struggles of citizens. He implemented progressive reforms, relief programs, and public works initiatives, balancing compassion with pragmatic governance. Roosevelt met with advisors, legislators, and business leaders to shape policies that stabilized employment and supported the vulnerable. His calm determination, strategic vision, and empathetic engagement inspired confidence across the state. These years as governor honed Franklin Delano Roosevelt's ability to lead in crisis, manage large-scale programs, and prepare for the national stage, laying the foundation for his presidency. In 1932, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, age 50, launched his presidential campaign amid the depths of the Great Depression, when unemployment and despair gripped the nation. Crisp autumn mornings and chilly fall evenings found him traveling tirelessly by train and automobile across cities, towns, and rural communities, connecting with Americans desperate for hope. He spoke passionately about the New Deal, promising economic revival, relief for struggling families, and reform to restore confidence. At campaign rallies, his eloquence, warmth, and empathy resonated with ordinary citizens, while behind the scenes he worked closely with advisors and local leaders, shaping policies and refining strategy. Roosevelt's calm decisiveness, keen insight, and ability to inspire trust helped sway a nation seeking leadership. His vision, resilience, and unwavering commitment to public service captured the hearts of voters. Franklin Delano Roosevelt's election marked the start of transformative leadership, preparing the United States to confront unprecedented challenges with courage, innovation, and unity. In 1933, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, age 51, assumed the presidency during the height of the Great Depression, determined to revive a struggling nation. Early winter mornings and warm spring afternoons found him directing sweeping reforms, implementing the New Deal programs that provided jobs, stabilized banks, and offered relief to millions. He consulted tirelessly with advisors, economists, and state officials, balancing urgency with careful planning. Roosevelt's fireside chats over radio reached citizens nationwide, inspiring hope and confidence. Public works projects reshaped cities, bridges, and farms, while social programs strengthened families and communities. Through vision, decisiveness, and empathy, Franklin Delano Roosevelt guided the United States through its darkest economic crisis, transforming despair into opportunity and laying the foundation for a stronger, more resilient nation. By 1939, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, age 58, had entered his unprecedented third term as president, guiding a nation facing both domestic challenges and looming global conflict. Crisp autumn mornings and brisk winter evenings found him navigating complex diplomacy, strengthening alliances, and preparing the United States for the possibility of war. Factories were readied, military planning advanced, and citizens were reassured through calm, confident leadership. Roosevelt balanced political pressures with strategic foresight, demonstrating resilience, empathy, and unshakable determination. As the shadows of war spread across Europe, Franklin Delano Roosevelt inspired a nation to unity and purpose, leaving a legacy of courage, vision, and leadership that would define the United States' path through the greatest challenges of the 20th century.